Hello and welcome to Ewe Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel all about the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I spin on a drop spindle, I dabble in weaving from time to time, and anything else that takes my crafty fancy. So this week I'm talking about the things I've been making in July, so grab a brew, put your feet up and let's get started. Welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome to you. As I said in the introduction to this video, this is the roundup of the things I've been making in July. I have to admit I've been a little bit distracted this month with sport of all things. I'm not a naturally sporty person, but you know, tennis and football and Olympics and all that kind of stuff that doesn't come around every year. Oh well, the tennis does, but yeah. It's just all been a little distracting, so I've not got some of the things done that I'd intended to get done. That doesn't mean to say I've not been doing stuff, I have, but yeah, it's not what I expected to achieve this month, which is fine, because it's all for me anyway, so it doesn't matter. So first of all, let's start with our first finished object, which is also what I am wearing, and that is the Lyra Dress by Tilly and the Buttons. This is my second Lyra dress. They've both been a Minerva Maker project. So Minerva send me the fabric for free. I make the project up and put a post on their website in return. So I'll link down below to the post on minerva.com for this particular dress. As I say, it is my second Lyra. The first one I did was knee length and in cord. I'll put the picture up somewhere around here so you can see it. So that version I did with the just the skirt and not the panel on the bottom, and without sleeves, which is not an option that's in the pattern. I just omitted the sleeves and bias bound the yarn hole. So that was a really simple hack, and that one is going to be good for kind of spring and autumn and layering up over other things because it's in needle cord. This one is a much lighter weight fabric. It doesn't feel like natural fibres. I'll need to check the composition on the website. But it's a nice floaty fabric, it's nice and light, and I opted to do, as you can see, the long sleeve elasticated version. The options for sleeves in the pattern are short sleeves and long sleeves, and I've also opted to do the full length, so I've added the tier on the bottom. So this may not be ideal for the hottest of summer days, because as I say, it doesn't feel like a natural fibre, and I tend to get quite warm in man-made fibres during hot weather. So yeah, this is more, as I say, a spring, autumn, beginning of summer, end of summer, typical British summer weather, not so hot type dress, but it's beautifully floaty and I feel very 70s in it. So I'll put a picture of this one up as well so you can see it. You never know, I might even leave both pictures up so you can compare the two, who knows. But like I say, the link to the Minerva post will be down below in the description, so you can go and check out some more detail on my thoughts about this particular version of the dress, as well as the knee length cord one that I did last month as well. So that's my sewing finished projects. I've not got a whole heap of sewing done this month, mostly as I say because distracted by sport. I do have 3 projects lined up. They're all Minerva projects, so I do need to get cracking on them because I'm up against deadline. And just because they like you to get things done within a certain time window with the fabrics they send you for free, so that they've still got it in stock when the post goes up, which makes absolute sense. So I've got 2 cotton projects and a cork leather project to work on. The cork leather one I'm both excited and terrified by. I've never worked with it before, so we'll see how that goes. I'm using it for a handbag pattern, which also I've never done before either, so it'll be an interesting project. So yeah, so that's coming up in the next month, so that you'll be able to see those on the Minerva website, and also hopefully in next month's roundup of what I'll be making in August. So that's the sewing. Let's turn to spinning. The beginning of July is Tour de France, which means it's also Tour de Fleece, and I managed to get 2 skeins spun up in Tour de Fleece. I was hoping to get some of my John Arbon started as well, but time was against me. So this one is some fibre that I got from Knit Picks. It's their Peruvian Highland wool, and I dyed it with Kool-Aid, which you can see in my Christmas vlogs from a couple of years ago, and then I spun it up as a 2-ply fractal, which I have also done separate videos on. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how that's turned up, and I'm actually really interested to see how it's going to knit up and to auto crochet up, or whatever I do with it. because I've not worked with a fractal yarn before, so that's going to be interesting. The other skein that I managed to get spun up, I've also done some videos on. This is the merino that I was spinning up on my Jalagan, and again it's turned out really nicely. Now both skeins have spun up to a sort of heavy fingering to heavy fingering kind of weight, which is pretty much average for me when I'm spinning, so all my hand spun works nicely together. So that's those spinning projects done. And the other thing that I'm going to show you as a finished object, I've also done a separate, more detailed video on, so feel free to check that out. And that is actually a mending project. So I had a bit of an issue with moths a couple of months ago, and so I ended up having to repair some of my sweaters. So this sweater, which is the Big Red by Knitting Expat, and I've knitted it up as a test a few years ago. This was knit up in, I want to say, Cascade. It's a fingering weight sweater, and it's got these nice cables on the raglan, and they also come in at the hips as well, so it gives the illusion of shaping that isn't actually there. But this was the worst affected by the moths, so I've used a speed weave loom to fix it. I did have to do the same on a hand spun sweater as well, but I'll show you the one for now, because they are both featured in my video on how I actually managed to fix this sweater. There are lots of other methods of fixing sweaters, fixing clothes in general that you can use, so next time I have something that needs some serious mending, I'll see if I remember to make a video on it so you can see a different method. So that's all the finished objects. So moving on to works in progress. And there has been progress. So let's start with this one that's at the front here. This is my temperature cross stitch for 2021. So each 5x5 square of stitches is a different day, and the colour is dictated by the high temperature of the day. So I'm still behind on it. I am still behind, but I did get 2 months completed during July. So I finished May and April, which means I'm still 2 months behind, but it's better than 3 or 4, so hey. So this is how we're looking at the moment. Yes, I am parking my threads using needle minders. I'm not sure if I would park my threads if I was to do something like a Heaven and Earth design. I know a lot of people do, but a lot of the colours are so similar in those patterns. I'm worried that I get confused. But we'll see when I eventually get around to trying a Heaven and Earth design. For this project though, it's actually quite simple because each day is a different colour depending on the temperature. You can just check back and see which day you last used that colour on. So yeah, it's not too bad for the parking on this. But yeah, so that's where we're at the end of April. I've still got June and July to do, so hopefully I'll be more up to date when we get to the end of August. Who knows? We'll see. Then last time round I was talking about some socks, sock knit along that I was going to be doing with my online knitting friends. I'm part of an international virtual knit night which has been going for years. We meet by Zoom up to 3 times a week. Sometimes some extra bonus sessions when people feel like it. Sometimes people meet up in person, which is always lovely. I've not managed it myself, but hey. We're having a bit of an informal knit along of the vintage spiral socks. This is how far I've got so far. I obviously haven't finished the other socks. I've also not knit on them. But that's the way it goes sometimes. You lose your mojo. It's been really hot, so knitting hasn't been the first thought on my mind, to be fair. So, I say really hot. It's been muggy. Warm I can deal with. Muggy, not so much. It's not good for dealing with wool because your hands get sweaty and ugh. So anyway, not so much sock progress as I would have liked, but still, I'm this far on with my spiral socks. This is using some yarn that my dad and my stepmom got me for Christmas, last Christmas? Christmas before? Last Christmas. And it is wool is the answer, that's the ball band. And it's called Daydreams. It was a sock set, so the bright pink mini came with the variegated yarn as well. I quite like the way it's knitting up. It's a rib pattern that spirals around the socks and there's no heel, so we'll see how they go. It's not the most exciting of patterns to knit, I have to say, so that's not helping with the knitting mojo. But the other thing that's affecting my knitting mojo is this. I think you can pretty much see all of it there. This is my newest weaving loom. This is a tapestry frame loom. I did have a fairly cheap loom that I bought from an independent retailer on that big internet website that everyone gets everything from. But the last property we lived in had a bit of damp and the frame got warped, so it's not really very good anymore. I can't really use it. So we decided to pick up a new one, and I went with this one. It's a 60 by 60 frame, that's centimetres, and it's got these screws for the full height on either side, so you can actually adjust the tension on the warp, which is really handy. It's by Spinspired, and it came pre-warped, so I haven't warped it myself. This came pre-warped at 10 ends per inch. And I've been having a little bit of play with the minis that Spinspired sent out with the loom, because it was pre-warped as well. If I was going to warp myself, I probably would have done a narrower warp to begin with, to get used to the frame. And because I haven't done any tapestry weaving for a while, and I've certainly not done anything on this scale, I am having a little bit of an issue with tension, and it's pulling in a bit at the sides, which is then warping the weft we go across, which kind of works for what I'm producing, but it's not ideal. So I'll just have a little bit of play around with the colours. I ended up doing a landscape type thing, trying out a few different techniques. So I've got some fringing at the bottom done with ryo knots. Most of it is in tabby weave or plain weave, and we've got some hatching going on, creating the curves in the landscape and changing the colours going up here. We've ended up with like a sea or a lake or something in here, and a bit more hatching to get the reflection from the sun. I'm now working on a circle, and I've used pick and pick to blend it in from one yellow to the other. I've got bright yellow here, we're going into a paler yellow, there's white to come, and I'm also using optical blending between the orange and the pink in the sun here. So that's done in very much the same way as you do the hatching to create the shading. So that's that. Let me just move it a little bit nearer to you so you can see it a little bit better. Hopefully you can see some of the shading in the sun there, and some of the colour changes. So yeah, I mean, it's not perfect, it is pulling in at the edges. There are some bits of the warp lysing through more than I would like, but a little bit of a play around, it's not too bad. Who knows what it'll be like when it comes off the loom. Who knows, I might be able to do something about the edges to tidy that up once it's off the loom. But yeah, so that's my weaving, and this is taking up a lot of my time at the moment. I mean, it does look like I've made a lot of progress, but it has taken a lot of time. This is me doing several hours at a time throughout the month. It's sort of 4 or 5 hours at a time on the loom, and I'm not really near finished really. I've got some of the light yellow left, I've got some white left, and I've got a little bit of the pink and the orange left. So I'm hoping to get to about here before I run out of yarn. Because yeah, they sent 2 packs of mini minis. They weren't even like 20 grams minis, they were like tiny minis. So I've just had a little bit of play around with those until I run out of yarn. And yeah, then I'll get some more warping thread and rewarp it and try something else with a bit more of a plan to it. I do actually have a tapestry weaving book that has patterns in it. Actually, let me just grab that for you, so I forgot to get that before I turned the camera on. There we go. So this tapestry weaving book is really good. It's by Kirsten Glasbrook. There are lots of tapestry weaving books around. This is one of the more affordable ones. It's also the one that Spinspired recommends when they send their looms out if you're getting started in tapestry weaving. It includes various techniques, it includes examples of the author's work herself, and she's also put in little sketches or cartoons of some of her weavings with indications of the techniques to use in different sections so that you can replicate them yourself. So that, I think, is probably going to be my next project, is to replicate one of the ones in this book. I don't know if I'll do it on quite this scale, I might do it on a smaller scale, but we'll see. So I will need to source some yarn for that once I finish this project. It's a bit of a guesstimation when you're trying to work out how much yarn you need for weaving, but hey. So yes, I'm really enjoying that. It's a little bit of a new obsession for me. But thinking books, I've also decided, well, I've realised that I'm not reading anywhere near as much as I used to. I used to be an avid reader, and I'd always have a couple of books on the go. Now, that's not to say I don't have a couple of books on the go. I've got like 3 or 4 on Kindle that I've started reading, and I've got 2 or 3 on Audible that I'm listening to. I'm not going to get into too much detail with those because they've been going on for ages. But I have just signed up to a subscription service called A Box of Stories. And they send out mystery boxes of books. Now you can either choose by genre, or you can get a mixed box. So you have fiction books, so across all the different genres of fiction, then you have genre-specific boxes, and then you have a mixed box, which is what I went for because I do read non-fiction as well as fiction. In fact, one of my Audible books is non-fiction. It's Clanlands, which is a couple of the actors from Outlander that did the Men in Kilts series, so Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish, and it's them on a road trip around Scotland, and it's essentially like being sat in a room with a pair of lads when you're listening to it because they narrate it themselves. So that I'm enjoying. But enough of the books I've started. Box of Stories send out 4 books in your chosen genre at whatever frequency you ask for. So as I've just started, I opted for 3 monthly. The box that I've gone for is one of their lower cost boxes. So it's about £13.50 including postage every 3 months, and the cost of the books that came in my first box works out to like £37. So it's a pretty good deal. They do guarantee that the recommended retail price of the books included in the box is going to be £30 or more. So I went for the mixed, so you get at least 1 non-fiction, and the rest could be non-fiction or fiction. So these are the books that I got. I know this is a bit of a change of direction for my videos, but books, love them. So the first one that came in the box was Sweet Thames, which is a fiction book set in 1849 in London. So that could be interesting. It sounds from the blurb on the back quite entertaining. In the summer of 1849, cholera threatens the city and the people of London. The authorities send millions of gallons of sewage cascading into the Thames, for many Londoners the only source of drinking water. Joshua Jevons, a young and idealistic engineer, embarks on an obsessive quest to find the cause of the epidemic as he labours in a fog of incomprehension. His domestic life is troubled by the baffling corners of his beautiful bride, Isabella. But when she suddenly disappears, his desperate search for her takes him to the netherworld of slum dwellers, pickpockets and scavengers of subterranean London. So that sounds like it's going to be exciting. One of the quotes on the front cover from a reviewer from The Guardian, which is a big British broadsheet, every page fizzes with linguistic invention. So that's exciting. So I'm looking forward to that one. The next one that came in is another fiction, and it's called And When She Was Good by Laura Lippman. So this is a crime novel, I believe. Heloise is a single mother who runs her own business and keeps herself to herself, but Heloise's business is one that takes place in discreet hotel rooms. For the right money, she can be the woman of your dreams. Now, after a decade, her secret life is under siege. Her accountant is asking loaded questions. Her longtime protector is hinting at new dangers. Her employees can't be trusted. For no real family or friends, how far will Heloise go to protect herself and her son? So yeah, a bit of a mystery thriller type thing. And it's even been reviewed by Stephen King. Stephen King says, when the barrier between Heloise's 2 lives starts to crumble, the results are mesmerising. Living writes with clarity and power. So yeah, Stephen King recommends. So interested in that one. The other 2 books I got are both non-fiction. The first one, Full Metal Cardigan. I mean, what a title. This is written by a British social worker. So he used to be an archaeologist, and this is his memoir of being a social worker. So yeah, so he had a bit of a change of career, but that could be interesting. And obviously he's Not going to be talking about anybody in ways that they can be identified, but yeah. Full Metal Cardigan documents David Emery's subsequent adventures in social care, from a naive volunteer brimming with enthusiasm to a burnt-out social work manager reminiscing about the joys of leptospirosis. I've no idea what that is. It's something he caught when he was an archaeologist. Along the way, he would have to contend with suicide attempts using rhubarb, dead cats in defrosted freezers, rescuing people from cults, a global outrage of cheating in a pancake race, interviewing a corpse, sectioning a celebrity, 1-inch death punches outside Woolworths, jumping out of moving cars, and inadvertently undertaking a drugs run. And lots of paperwork. So that should be quite interesting and amusing. And the final book that I got, very much in my wheelhouse, historical memoir. Excuse me. And this is Upstairs and Downstairs, My Life in Service as a Lady's Maid. So it's 1935, and a real life recollection of working in a house that's kind of like Downton Abbey. So that one should be good. So those are the 4 books I got in my first box of stories. I haven't decided which one to read first. I also haven't decided whether I need to finish the ones I've already started before I start these, but we'll see. So my question to you guys is, would you like a book section in my monthly roundups of what I've been working on? So it would be more like these are the books that I've got, these are the books I'm going to be reading, this is the book that I've finished, or like a review of what I've read, that kind of thing. I'm not 100% certain on what format it would take, but let me know down below if you would like me to include a book segment in these videos, or indeed if you would like me to do a separate video on what I've been reading. Because I can do that, and I can just do one every time I finish a book. That might work quite well, actually. So let me know down below if you would like me to include content on books, and whether you would like it to be part of this video, or whether you would like it to be its own playlist of standalone videos. So that's all I have for you this week. I'm going to go and get back on with some weaving once I've edited and uploaded this video for you guys. You never know, I might get as far as some knitting. It's looking like the weather's going to start behaving itself. So, yep, that's all I have for you today, and I hope to see you again soon. I do aim to upload a video every weekend, so Friday, Saturday or Sunday, and I've only missed 2 weeks this year, which is not bad going for me. Granted, one of them was last week, but hey, 2 weeks out of the year is not too bad, given that we're now in August, so we're over halfway through the year. And what a year it's been, my goodness. Okay, so this video has been my what I've been making in July. In about a month's time there'll be a what I've been making in August. In the intervening weeks there'll be videos on specific projects or crafts, or just me waffling at the camera, but there will be content coming your way most weekends. I'm not going to say every single weekend, because you never know, I might miss one again, but most weekends there will be a video coming your way on my channel, and I hope to see you then. So happy crafting, and bye bye for now.